into to Cerro, Colorado.
Oh,
That's why
okay.
I'm dressed down.
Oh, okay.
You know Jill.
Yeah. Anyway, hey Jill, good to see you. Yeah. So, yeah, no worries.
Okay, I got you.
But literally, I got my solid waste polo.
I have a
I want to get out. Yeah. All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our solid waste department headquarters out here on Edith in roughly Candelaria, I think. So we are going to talk about a number of things today. All things, though, relate to our trash, and we like to use the term waste and whatnot, refuse and things like that, but believe it or not, actually, this obviously, as a reminder, is a very large department in our city. It's one of our largest departments. It's one of the most basic things that the city does for the community. And it actually, historically, can be quite controversial and difficult. Luckily, under our administration and our leadership out here, we've had very little challenges around solid waste, and that's a great thing. But Corona has actually brought some very significant challenges that we are going to have to deal with. And there were also some things even before that ironically have to do with very serious national and international trade issues around recycling that we've also had to deal with. And this has to do with the Chinese not buying our recycled materials anymore. And that has to do with like embargoes and all this stuff. But anyway, just letting you know, solid waste is not immune from national and international issues. And every city is facing that. But also something every city is facing is our own personal behavior when it comes to our own refuse practices in a city. And so what we often take for granted is the hard work and dedication and coordination and consistency of our trash pickup, even in tough times. And I do want to take a moment just to say thank you to all of the folks who work in solid waste and to the leadership for being able to continue seamless services throughout Corona, despite some very serious challenges, which we're going to talk about here today. And so, again, from my perspective as mayor and Lawrence's as COO, we're grateful that we don't have a gazillion press conferences out here because this department is very well run. And it has a very good team up and down from blue-collar frontline all the way up to the management office. But we got some challenges, and we need to talk to the public and our employees about them, and that's what we're going to do today. So against a nationwide backdrop of recycling costs rising because of lack of demand from China, also the demand for services going way up because of Corona, and it's pretty obvious, but look, commercial services are down, but residential services are way up. And because we're all cleaning our house and doing yard work and all of this stuff, the proportional shift is actually much higher. So in other words, the demand on residential is higher than the drop in demand for commercial by far. And so overall demand is way up. And I was just talking to James Lewis on the phone, who some of you might remember, and he was in line at one of our transfer stations for 45 minutes, 8 o'clock this morning, because everyone is in line at our transfer stations. Like the entire city is going and emptying their trash out there. And I told him last Sunday I was doing the same thing. So it's now kind of a Corona ritual for many of us to take a trip out to one of our many facilities and pay that very low fee to take our trash out. But this problem we don't think is going to go away in the short term, and so we need to start planning for it. And it's starting to hit the bottom line. Now, as a reminder, solid waste is an enterprise fund, which is great. The fees that we charge folks pay for all of the services that you get. And basically every year it does a good job of balancing the books. But it's going to be a challenge this year. So recycling costs have gone from $350,000 that we'd have to sort of cover to now $3.5 million. And again, this was actually before Corona, but it has to do with basically the fact that China used the entire world's recycling, more or less. And they closed that door because of international politics with DC and Beijing. Now, this has resulted in a huge increase in recycling costs, but we don't want to abandon recycling. So we're going to keep doing it, but it means it's going to cost more. And so residential pickups have increased 22%, and commercial pickups have decreased 86%. And that we make a lot of money on commercial, more than we do on residential. So that's also challenging our revenue streams. So with these challenges, we have some short-term things that our director, Matt Whelan, is going to speak to. And they've kind of helped us weather the storm. And as we go into the budget process, we're going to kind of figure out what to do. But let me say that we're very fortunate, again, to have a leadership team that's here at Solid Waste. And also, as our director, Matt grew up, his family was in the solid waste business in Las Cruces, so he's no stranger, but also was an accountant, is a CPA still, CPA, pretty cool, good in times of budget, and worked in Parks and Rec and other departments, so he's the right man for these times. So with that, Director Matt
Whelan. Thank you, Mayor, and thank everybody for being here. So just a few points that I'd like to emphasize on. But the first thing I'd like to do is I'd really like to thank all of the residents and all of our customers here in the city of Albuquerque. Thank you for all the thank you cards you've given to some of our drivers, some of the things you placed on your cans, just letting our drivers know how much they're appreciated. And I'd also like to thank our drivers. I'm extremely proud of the work that all of our solid waste employees have done over the last year and over the last 3 years, especially during these times. Wouldn't it be nice to just wake up one morning and just have all the refuse gone, right? That'd be a great thing, but that's not the world we live in. So that's why recycling is that much more important, and sustainability is that much more important, because the more things we can recycle and the more things that we can put back into use, it reduces the amount of refuse that we actually goes to our landfill, which is the key. So that being said, not only our solid waste department, but solid waste in general throughout the country and globally has been hit with two really, really hard worldwide issues. The first one beginning in 2018, which is what the mayor was speaking about, when China stopped taking in most of the world's recyclables, which caused a ripple effect. So those items were sent to other countries and they ended up getting filled up. So now the market is very small. So that was the first thing that happened in 2018. And then we've currently just been hit with COVID-19. So those are two issues that the Solid Waste Management Department has had to navigate through since 2018 and 2019. And here at the Solid Waste Management Department, we do a lot more than just refuse pickup and recycling. We do commercial, we do residential, but we also operate 3 convenience centers throughout the city. We operate the landfill, we do the medians, we do graffiti cleanup. We also do other clean city programs like illegal dumping cleanup, large item pickup, and abandoned board ups. We also do that whenever planning has an abandoned building that needs to be boarded up. We pick it up, and we also assist Parks and Rec and family community centers to do other cleanups throughout the parks when it comes to needles or other things like that. So, as an essential service, the department has continued to provide all services, it's always provided. So even though we started to deal with the issue of recycling in 2018, and then we had this issue of COVID in 2019, we have not reduced the level of services at all. We have continued to provide the same level of service through both issues, through the recycling markets and through COVID-19. And as Mayor was saying, we have an uptick in all areas of our business. We've continued to provide that same level of service. When it comes to commercial decreases, because of the commercial decreases, we've decreased by about 550 pickups since COVID-19 started, which equates to about a $1.6 million decrease in revenue. Now, that decrease in revenue is something that we have to budget for and look for in the future. So with more people working from home and with more people staying at home, our residential refuse has gone up 13%, and that's about 80 tons compared to last year. So that's a lot of extra refuse in our daily pickups. Our recycling has gone up about 9%, which is about 14 tons when compared to last year. So just from the residential side, the uptick has been extremely enormous, and our drivers have done a great job of picking up all the extra refuse and handling all the extra recycling. Now, when you compare that to the commercial decrease, it's a different type of vehicle, because some people may say, why don't you just take the vehicles that were used for commercial and have them help residential? Well, it's two different types of vehicles, and it's two different types of service. So the decrease in commercial can't really be offset by the increase in residential. So a couple other increases that have happened. The average daily tons of recycling has gone up by 14. Residential large item pickups has gone up by 86%.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Just either cup your hand around it, or you can turn it off.
Okay. Can I turn it off? Can you guys still hear me? Can you guys still hear me? I'm pretty loud. So our large item pickup has gone up by 86%, and scheduled large item pickup is basically when you have something that's too big for your residential cart, you can call 311 and schedule a large item pickup. They'll tell you where to put it, and we'll send somebody to pick it up. That's gone up by 86%, which equates to about 21 pickups per day. Scheduled large item pickups have gone up by about 12,000 stops when compared to last year. So in fiscal year 19, we were at 45,000. This year, fiscal year 20, we're at 57,000. The visits to our convenience centers, as the mayor was saying, a lot of people have to wait in line. That has gone up by about 68%. So it's about a little bit more than 800 per day. So our 3 convenience centers, since COVID started, have seen about a huge increase in people coming to drop off things that they probably were storing in their garages or at homes, and now they figured out, hey, we have time to clean it out, so we're cleaning it out and we're taking it to our convenience centers. And we'd encourage you to continue to take things to the convenience centers, because one of the things that is noticeably happening within the city during COVID is that we have more illegal dumping within city limits. Now, when we say illegal dumping within city limits, that's basically when somebody doesn't take something to a convenience center, they don't call for a large item pickup, but instead they just take it and put it out on the street. If that has gone up by about 1,800 sites since last year, so it's about 110% increase just because of that. So I'd encourage residents and customers that if you have something like that, don't just dump it out on the street, call 311 so that we can come get it. And it's going to take a team effort for us not to continue to put those illegal dumpings out on the curb. So because of that, those are some of the issues we face because of COVID, but some of the biggest recycling challenges we face, as the mayor said, is the cost of the increase in recycling. In 2017, we were spending about $300,000 on recycling, which was offset by revenues because there was revenue coming in and expenses going out, and the net effect was about $300,000 to the department. As of 2018, when the national soared and when China stopped taking all the materials, that went up to $860,000. And in 2019, it was $2.7 million, and currently in fiscal year 20, it's about $3.5 million. So the increase in processing costs is due to a decrease in the revenue that offset some of those costs in the past. So like I said, a lot of cities are facing these same challenges. Actually, all cities are facing these same challenges, but we are glad to say that we have not reduced the level of services, and we have no intention of reducing the level of services. We actually want to increase our recycling services because it's just that important, not only to the environment, but it's important to our future. So, that being said, although we've been facing 2 major challenges, the Solid Waste Management Department is continuing to move forward regardless of what happened in 2018 with China and regardless of what's going on with COVID-19. So that being said, we are going to be continuing as we started to build our new maintenance facility here at Edith, as well as our new admin facility here. That project is continuing to move forward as we have pushed forward through. We've already received $45 million in bond proceeds back in July of 20th, so that we can start that process. We will be having a groundbreaking very soon here at this location for the maintenance facility, but we also are going to be building our west side facility out at the Sierra Colorado landfill. That facility will house some of our refuse vehicles. That way they won't have to travel back and forth all the way to the landfill in here. They will be housed at the landfill. They will pick up refuse on the west side, which will reduce the amount of emissions that we do on a daily basis. So we're continuing to move forward, we're continuing to be sustainable, and we're continuing to do things that will benefit the city of Albuquerque. So that being said, we have certain things that we've set money aside for. We have about $4 million in reserve for our debt service on our bond that we just received, so we can make those annual payments. And we also have another $6 million set aside for land or for the projects. So the last rate increase that we had when it comes to operations or cost of service was back in 2011. So it's been a long time since we've done that, but we've continued to just push forward, work through the budget cycle, move money within the department to cover a lot of these costs as they've continued to increase. So at that, we're going to continue to provide the same level of service that we always have been. And I want to encourage all of our customers and all of our residents to help us in a One Albuquerque effort to do it together. Don't just throw things out on the street. Make sure and call us to come get it. When you're recycling, make sure you're recycling right so we're not putting a lot of contaminants in the recycle bin. And please use our convenience centers. They're there for us and for the general public to help with all of the refuse that we have, especially during the time of COVID. I'd like to thank everybody, and I'd like to say we're going to continue to move forward, and we're going to continue to be sustainable.
I'm Lawrence Whelan, the Chief Operations Officer for the city. I want to just make a couple of points that I think are worth re-emphasizing to the community. Number one is that we know that the lines are long at our convenience centers, and we know that that's a challenge, and know that we are asking all the folks who will go to these facilities to be patient with us. Part of the COVID practice, if we will, that we had to institute for this department in particular is how to ensure we keep folks separated, if you will, when they're in an enclosed facility, especially like the one at Eagle Rock, where we have to have social distancing, et cetera, from folks and our customers. So it takes a little longer to get through the lines, but we're doing it in a COVID-safe way or manner, and it also helps us to ensure that we're not letting folks just getting so frustrated that they're dumping and doing illegal dumping in various parts of the county. So that's an important piece, and we just ask our residents to please be patient. We'll get through those lines as quickly as we possibly can. The other piece is what I think Matthew just reiterated, and that was the whole idea is that if you see a recycling center like the one we have here, it is strictly for recyclables. It is not a facility where you can come in and drop a TV or a couch or a mattress, etc. We have a process for collecting large items. If they'll just call the department or call 311, we can certainly have a special pickup go out and pick up those items at the curbside. But it is important that we don't use these recycling centers as a makeshift, if you will, dump area. That really creates a problem for the neighborhoods. It creates a problem for our department. And quite frankly, it can create issues even for children, et cetera, playing along these areas, because we've tried to locate these recyclable centers in our community where it makes sense and where people live. And the last piece I would say is that Jill, who is our deputy director here at the Solid Waste Department, has done a tremendous job with our recycling program. And one of the issues she keeps reminding all of us, and want to remind our citizens, is this. Look, the recyclables are only as good and the quality of those recyclables as the folks that are putting in the recyclables in the bins. So we need to continue to really be mindful about ensuring that the recyclables that go into the bins are recyclable products. And the bin is not an extra trash can, if you will, for everything else. What happens when you throw in different products into a recyclable bin is that by the time it gets to our recyclable center, all the contaminants that you work so hard to recycle get contaminated. And as a result, we are not able to process them for those markets that are still open. And so it really is about being recycling a little, if you will, in a cleaner manner, being focused on the fact that these recyclables can get recycled, but if you throw other things in the recyclable bin, it just contaminates those recyclables, and then as a result, the entire bin is disposed of in the landfill. So it's really about being vigilant about these sort of things and working with us. COVID has been a challenge for all of our city services, in particular with this department. And the last thing I would say is kudos to our management staff and to the employees. Think about this. All our employees used to come into one facility in the morning. It was their lounge, if you will, and then they would get on their vehicles and go out and do their routes. Imagine if we had not changed that process. One person coming in could have easily have closed our whole operation, especially if that person had been exposed. So thanks to the great management that we have here, we now, our drivers go directly to their vehicles. So that means that their vehicle is their new lounge, if you will, and they take off from there to go out and do the work in our community. So as a result of some good management, good practices, and great employees that we have here, we've been able to continue to pick up all our refuse throughout the city and without even with a seamless transition from when COVID began into what we are in today. So I think that that's really worth noting to our citizens, that this department does a tremendous work and helps keep our community clean, and we're very proud of that work as well. So with that being said, if you all have any questions, we'd be happy to answer those questions as we move on.
I was just curious if residents could be expecting like another rate increase for the garbage and recycling, I guess, with everything that y'all are talking about.
Right now, we are evaluating the services that we have today and talking about the issues that Matthew and the mayor just described, which was the issues of the costs associated with really the disproportional, if you will, work that we're doing. Obviously, we're picking up a whole lot more residential waste than ever before, and our commercial waste is lower. And so we're looking and evaluating those options. And as we go through the budget process, we'll be making some recommendations on that particular issue, whether it happens or not, or whether we're able to absorb it by being even more efficient. That's part of the challenge to my director, and we're working through that.
We do have a Zoom question related to that. As far as large item pickups, with the surge in requests for these services, will the city be changing or raising fees on large item pickups?
Currently with large item pickups, they're allowed 2 large item pickups annually. So the city will provide 2 large item pickups per household annually. So that's already in our cost of service. So that's what we continue to plan doing, even with the increase of 311 calls. Now, the way the large item pickup works is you're allowed 2 per year. If you have a resident or a place that's continually calling, they can be charged for their 3rd, 4th, or 5th large item pickup. But like I said, we do offer 2 annually, and we've been doing that pre-COVID and pre-2018.
And then a more specific question about the recycling center at University South and UNM baseball field. Why was that closed? It seemed like it was a big dumping ground for mattresses, couches, and construction.
So all of our recycling centers that we currently have 13 throughout the city, are heavily used. The residents do a very good job of using them. However, unfortunately, like Lawrence was saying, there are some people that use them as illegal dumping sites. And we would encourage people not to do that. Only use those sites for recycling. That's what they're for. You can always go to one of our convenience centers, and it only costs you $5. Or, like I said, you have 2 large item pickups annually. But that site, when we work with another property that's not a city-owned facility, we have to be respectful of what their needs are and what they want. So they requested that it be removed. I don't know what their plans are for that vacant lot. They may have plans to build. They may have plans to expand there. We don't know exactly what their plans for that area are. But we worked with them. It was a good site. We were disappointed we had to remove it, but we had to remove it at their request.
All right, thanks. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice. All right. Yeah, I'll see you soon.
You have 2 minutes?
Yeah.